Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where, woo! While it was a very close call, Venom ended up having a very good weekend. But on Friday, it wasn't looking so good, hence the close call. Because it seemed that A Star is Born could unseat Venom for the #1 spot, and that Venom would fall more than 60% in its second weekend, proving the critics right that the Sony flick was indeed a loser. But audiences rallied in a major victory, winning the day, as Venom not only held on to the #1 spot without question, not even a photo finish, as some expected as the weekend progressed, right? But it fell just 55%, the standard for superhero blockbusters. You can't fault Venom for that drop when Infinity War had the exact same second weekend drop. Laugh it up, Amy Pascal. You deserve it. And it's nice to see a female executive succeeding as the head of a fan favorite franchise. Although I know some of you don't like Amy Pascal. I'd be curious to hear why. Was it just because she was kind of challenged Kevin Feige a little bit there? She was doing it in a playful, fun way. She loves Feige. She wants to be his BFF. Because some of you were like, I don't want to see this movie and give Amy Pascal the win. Why not give her the win? As I said, it was so sad for me to watch Solo and be like, a female executive killed Star Wars. I'm thrilled to see a female executive succeeding somewhere else. Okay, and Venom, by the way, is indeed succeeding. So Venom is well past the century mark in just its second weekend. We'll see how much damage Halloween does this coming weekend, but otherwise, there's no big competition until November 2nd. Suck up that money, Venom, right? And thanks to Venom and even Goosebumps too, a little extra push there, right? Sony finally joined the other major studios in crossing $1 billion domestic for the year. Hey, at least it got there, right? Sony has the little slate that could. Indeed, though, the studio is slowly, however also steadily, right, slowly but surely, rebuilding itself back from oblivion. Remember when they were like, maybe Sony will sell Columbia Pictures? That was a thought there for a while, right? But they have some real contenders on the horizon, including not just more Spider movies and more Jumanji, but also the return of Men in Black and Charlie's Angels, with some major risks there. You know, a lot of people are upset with some of the change. Well, not a lot of people, but a very vocal group have been upset with some of the diversification in comic books. So I'll be curious, you might recall, not this year's New York Comic Con, but the one before, comic book store owners got upset with the publishers behind closed doors and said, your new books aren't selling. So I'm curious, as movies try to do the same thing, if they will succeed. I think both of these properties are exciting, but I was surprised for it. Well, I don't know. My Charlie's Angels tweet yesterday did get a lot of attention, but some of you were not, didn't think it looked as cool as I did. I like that a couple of you were like, it's because she has thumb holes, right, Grace? And I was like, that did help me like the costume more. But anyway, also, while I was saying this, it occurred to me that perhaps Sony is maybe getting Columbia Pictures in better shape so they could sell it, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. After the Disney Fox deal, anything can happen. Now, back to Venom, worldwide, it's already closing in on $400 million. And word is that it just has to ooze its way to $450 to break even for the studio. And of course, there's streaming, the ancillary market. So I think Venom very much will be in the black. It looks good in black, right? And here's some more good news. Venom has landed a Chinese release date of November 2nd. So just as it probably will wrap up its time here in the United States, it will get a second burst of wind, in the Middle Kingdom, which of course is the second biggest box office in the world. I hope you guys like Venom. Get over there, Tom Hardy. Start promoting right now. This is excellent, though. This is a huge victory for audiences who the industry and even some members of the media have long disregarded as powerless when it comes to having a real say in what happens in Hollywood. I think it's super exciting. All right, now, while A Star is Born couldn't wrestle the #1 spot away from Venom, it's still shining brightly. This is good news all around for last weekend's releases, right? Because A Star is Born still held off all the weekend newcomers, and there were a lot of them, and it's closing in on the century mark also in just its second weekend. Remember, the play here for A Star is Born has always been a long one, with an eye on awards season. That is, if Bradley Cooper can control himself, because he got hit with a rash of bad headlines this past week, especially a profile with the New York Times where you should read this thing. I'll put a link down below in the video description because it's crazy. He basically shot himself in the foot. And speaking of shooting yourself in the foot, he wasn't the only one to do it, as 2 more filmmakers did just that this very weekend. The first is Damien Chazelle with First Man, where I bet right now he wishes he just showed them planting the damn flag on the moon. It's difficult to say if that did affect the movie, but it certainly has continued to be a part of the conversation. Audiences did not, or potential audiences did not forget. Many of you commented about it in my review, even though I said that I understood the choice, right? And the space flick not only opened way below previous October space flicks, I mean, when you see what the Gravity and the Martian have done in this month, it makes total sense to release First Man here. But then, the numbers are they're very disparate. And it even fell way short of its own modest expectations. It didn't even hit what it was supposed to, which, the bar was not set very high for what Hollywood was expecting here. And as one of you so kindly pointed out on Twitter over the weekend, thank you, as I've said for quite some time now, only a specific number of people are interested in Ryan Gosling movies. It's actually fascinating, I think. Not so fascinating for Ryan Gosling, because he can't get that number above there, really outside of Blade Runner, and even that ended up not succeeding. But yet again, the same number of people showed up for First Man. That's just it. That's who's interested in Ryan Gosling. And I think it's going to, except you have something like La La Land, which becomes a sensation and, a big awards juggernaut, he really just can't break out of this orbit, this box office orbit, right? Now, speaking of word of mouth and awards noms, Universal is hoping that will carry this flick. And again, with a slow next couple of weeks at the movies, they could be right. I don't think it's going to become a huge hit, and I honestly don't think it's going to get a lot of nominations. But it could make a couple extra bucks for sure, because people are like, I didn't want to see First Man, but it is playing in IMAX, and there's nothing else to see. I can see that happening to a lot of people. And I feel bad for you, because it's boring. Buy a lot of snacks. There are good moments, though. I wouldn't categorize it as a waste of time. It's just a very slow movie. I bet it does very well on streaming, actually, for that reason. It's like Screensaver, the movie. All right. So anyway, for the other film where someone shot themselves in the foot, you might recall that Fox let Drew Goddard make any movie he wanted as a reward for delivering such a great script for The Martian. And he really did. An amazing script. I mean, kudos to Ridley Scott and Matt Damon for bringing it to life as they did, but the script's really spectacular. So he got a blank check from Fox, right? And it seems he should have made any movie but the one that he did, as Bad Times ended up being a self-fulfilling prophecy, opening at number 7 with a mere $7 million. That's less than half of what Goddard's debut film opened with 6 years ago. Wow, that's so bad. I would be surprised if he was allowed to direct a movie again. Certainly one for a studio. I wouldn't do it. I would be like, maybe you're just a writer, Drew. There's no shame in that. So what the hell happened? Well, although Drew Goddard could throw this back on Fox, because as we've been noticing, Fox has kind of given up, right, as they get ready to be swallowed by the mouse. And apparently, nobody in the marketing division is eager to prove their worth, because Disney has said, well, they will be letting a number of individuals go. They're going to keep the ones that they feel are really awesome, and, some Disney people could go to make way for the awesome Fox folks. But, it's a real gladiator arena over there right now, and I don't see a lot of fight out of the publicity department at Fox. As for the cast, this further proves that Jon Hamm can't sell a movie ticket, and he actually couldn't even get people to tune into Mad Men, which, while it was a critical darling, was never a ratings juggernaut, interestingly enough. If you're ever wondering why Jon Hamm doesn't get more work, this is why. It also doesn't help Chris Hemsworth, who still can't seem to sell a movie ticket outside of the MCU. Uh-oh, Sony. I hope that Men in Black also ends up being the exception. So scary. They're like, we're really just copying Thor Ragnarok. And you're like, well, I hope that works for you. That's a risky strategy as well. Anyway, as for the weekend's other new releases, it's getting crowded in here, right? Goosebumps 2 saw a significant decline from its first entry. That's a shame. Hotel Transylvania, also for Sony, has been able to stay steady over the years, but that doesn't seem to be the case with Goosebumps. I think the loss of Jack Black, and his competing films certainly didn't help. Is Jack Black in Goosebumps 2? I saw them put him in an ad. Maybe he has a cameo, but he's certainly not a big part of the film. Maybe Goosebumps 2 also. It's very early for Halloween. Maybe it'll rally in the weeks ahead because, again, not a lot of movies coming out, or at least big movies. Then for Beautiful Boy, that posted a very respectable but not headline-making per theater average, coming in third for the year so far. I think that's going to ding it a little bit with awards season. I think Steve Carell, even though I think he's fabulous in the film, I just don't think the industry's behind him as an awards winner. They're just not. I don't think the industry wants to see Steve Carell win an Oscar, at least not right now. As for Timothée Chalamet, though, he should be slightly concerned because things didn't really materialize for him for Call Me By Your Name, and I don't see anyone eager to correct that, which, again, as I said, is scary. Oh, Hollywood's a tough business. All right, so he looked pretty cool. Recently, I was grabbing photos for when I was doing the review for Beautiful Boy, and I have to say, whoever dressed him for Toronto did a very nice job. Maybe too good a job. I'm curious how many of you are actually Timothée Chalamet fans. He has fans. Hopefully you'll see Beautiful Boy as it expands. And then as for this coming weekend, it's again the last big movie of the month with horror juggernaut Halloween, which is expected to deliver the biggest opening for the franchise to date. That's impressive. That would be very nice. That would be a nice feather in Jason Blum's cap, right? Not to mention also Danny McBride's. And hopefully they'll play also like Goosebumps 2 throughout the holiday. When do you plan to see Halloween? Are you going to see it opening weekend, this coming weekend? Will you save it for Halloween itself? Or are you maybe just skipping it? I'm seeing it actually tomorrow night. My review will go up on Tuesday. All right, so that's this week's Movie Math. Thank you for going over the box office with me. Be sure to share your thoughts down below. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.